Welcome to the Golden Seams, where we, Gabe and Michelle, your hosts, invite you to join us on a transformative journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Our podcast is all about helping you uncover your authentic self, find your true calling, and create prosperity in alignment with your deepest values and aspirations.
We're excited to bring you our Mastermind Memoir segment, where we spotlight extraordinary individuals who are making waves in their fields. Our mission is to showcase people who are not just dreaming big, but living those dreams authentically and creating a tangible impact in the world.
What sets our guests apart is their expertise and passion. These aren't just casual conversations. We're bringing you trusted voices who are at the forefront of their industries.
We've handpicked each guest to ensure you're getting valuable insights and a healthy dose of inspiration. And don't worry, if you want to connect with our guests, you'll find their contact information linked below and on our website, thegoldenseams.com, under Trusted Resources.
We think these individuals and their stories might just be the catalyst for your own extraordinary journey.
Today, we're excited to welcome Deanna, the founder of Werk With Deanna, to the Golden Seams. Deanna is a breathwork and Reiki expert who's revolutionizing holistic wellness.
Drawing from diverse breathwork traditions around the world, Deanna is helping people transform their lives. Through these powerful breathing practices, you can experience reduced stress, improved mental clarity, and enhanced emotional balance. Breathwork's benefits extend beyond relaxation, potentially boosting energy levels, strengthening the immune system, and fostering a deeper mind-body connection.
Breathwork can also empower you to establish and maintain healthy boundaries by grounding you in your body, reducing your stress, and enhancing your self-awareness, ultimately fostering a stronger sense of personal space and emotional resilience. We can't wait to explore Deanna's journey and experience breathwork with Deanna.
So, Deanna, welcome to the show.
Yeah, appreciate having the time and the space to share.
Deanna, tell us about Werk with Deanna, and it's spelled W-E-R-K.
Work is about putting the energy into the work. That's why it's work with an E.
Tell us about how you got into breathwork.
My practice is Reiki and breathwork currently. I started doing Reiki during the pandemic, naturally needing to do some self-care during that time. I was also dealing with a lot of anxiety and significant changes in my life. So I had turned to breathwork. I was diagnosed with sleep apnea, asthma, a lot of reasons for my lungs to need some attention. As I started learning about breathwork and different types of breathwork, because there are many culturally around the world with practices and rituals, there's so many different types. I was able to start taking that on and doing a daily practice for myself. And it led me to becoming a facilitator and holding space for others to do the same.
Tell us about what benefits that you personally experienced when you started practicing it, how it's impacted your physical, your mental well-being. What have been your experiences?
Yeah. I mean, it has impacted every part of my life. There's a lot of studies, of course, through science of the impact of breath work, how it is chemically changing our body when we do certain breath patterns. Some include your body creating DMT. That's something that our body can do, as well as lower our cortisol levels. And those were all things that intrigued me physically to take care of my lungs, to improve my lung capacity. But it has also helped my emotional state. And that's something that I find really beneficial, right? We're all disassociating in our world right now, and happened for quite some time. I think my generation specifically with technology really struggle to separate ourselves and be present. Breathwork gave me the benefit to be present, to physically be in my body, to notice the discomfort in my body when it was needed, or to feel the celebration in my body when it was needed. When we're breathing and we're playing with these patterns of breath, it will actually help soothe our nervous system. It will create calm. It will help process any kind of overwhelming emotions that are stuck in our body, in our fascia. It's so impactful, and the breath is so intuitive that every breathwork session I've ever experienced for myself has never been the same thing over and over again. It's different every time. I have different experiences physically, emotionally, chemically. And I think that's why I'm so fascinated by the breath, is that I'm not bored, right? I'm not bored by it. I get to really play with it and really focus my mind. I'm somebody that struggles to quiet my mind, and this is a very active focus your mind, not just quiet your mind, but focus your mind, and everything else will go away as you breathe. So I've had a lot of benefits come through while doing breath work. Energetically, it's helped me be more aligned with my physical, mental, and spiritual self. And I think that's really powerful. And I think that's why a lot of people are also more curious about breathwork right now.
Did it help, for example, you said that you started it during COVID. Did it help with managing the stress? There was so much anxiety during that time. Tell us about how you went into that and how you used it to manage those things. Did you have a daily practice?
Yeah, so I would do like 10 minutes a day in the morning and in the evening. I would start off with one type of breath work called holotropic breath work. Some people know like Wim Hof. That's a method that's been really popular. And that's one that is really invigorating and was able to help me get started with my day when you don't even want to leave the house. During pandemic, it was a lot to feel cooped up, right? But to build your energy and expand your biofield and be like, okay, I got this. I've got the day ahead of me. And it was simple as starting that in my day and ending it with a calming breath to actually get me to relax from the day, from the anxiety, from the stress. It was very helpful to do that on a daily and on a regular, and then to do virtual breathworks for an hour long when I have my classes for hour to 90-minute long breathwork. Kind of shook by that. It's like we're just breathing for 90 minutes. I was like, yeah, and a lot's going to come up. Having those journeys, those breath sessions are also impactful. It was able to help me really face some of the things I've been hiding from myself and storing away in my body that was creating disease, dysfunction. Those practices were really helpful.
I think that's so interesting. Does it help release emotions that are trapped or locked in there? And
the science and studies that are coming up from breathwork is that when we are breathing, let's say for a holotropic breath work, we're pushing and oxygenating our body intensely through our diaphragm and into our chest, really expanding our lung capacity. And we're doing that really deeply. And within that pattern, as we continue, our body actually responds chemically. Not to get too technical, but there is a response called tetany that happens, which if you see animal documentaries, you'll see the zebra get almost attacked by that cougar, right? Or whatever, the lion. And the animal will shake, right? We've seen those things, or like when the gorilla gets upset, they're pounding their chest. And that's because when we have situations in our life that create overwhelming emotions, whether it's good or bad, I would actually say just emotions, be more neutral about that. Sometimes we store it away because we can't express it. We can't necessarily deal with it. It may not be safe for us at the time. And so we've stored it in our body, which creates dis-ease, which creates sickness. When we breathe,
creates
it
anxiety.
Oxygenates our body. Yes, all of it. It oxygenates our body. It creates this flow for our chemical cortisol levels to go down, and it will actually create a physical response called tetany, and it will tighten your muscles or make you shake involuntarily. And though that may sound very scary, you're in full control because you're breathing. And if you want that to stop, you just go back to your normal breath. Our goal is to move the energy, to move that emotion outward. And so some people really experience great emotional expression.
Wow.
Yeah. Whether it's joy of laughter or crying or yelling or pounding the floor below you kind of thing. I find it kind of primal in a very lovely way. There's the permission to be a human and to have that expression when a society that we live in is so repressed and we don't have the opportunity to experience in fullness. It gives a lot of permission to just be and experience what is stored.
Honestly, it's a lot more peaceful
Mm-hmm.
to transmute those energies this way and to do it safely and in a supportive way. What are some misconceptions about breath work that you may have encountered with people? I think there's several out there, especially because people don't really know, at least from what I'm aware of, the true benefits of this, which you're sharing with us.
Down to its fundamental misconception is that the breath can really do that much for an individual. I think people feel like it's too simple. It's too simple to just breathe and remember to breathe. But it's the most essential thing that we do and that we need in our being, in our life. And we're not even breathing properly half the time. Most of us, when we're exhaling, we're actually expanding our diaphragm rather than bringing it in, and it's a reversed breath. Or we're breathing just through our chest and we're ignoring our diaphragm. Even just the simple practice of the breath feels, to many, I think, very skeptical that it's that simple, that we could actually have the power to take care of ourselves internally with just the act of breathing. I think is the biggest thing.
What a gift, right?
Truly.
Are there different techniques, though? You had mentioned you're trained in these. Tell us about the different techniques in your background with this. Give us an idea and these different types you work with.
Like I mentioned earlier, the breath is universal. And so all around the world, there's different cultures that play with breath in a different way. And so I think it's welcome for all, but also to recognize where the practice has originated. The styles that I know and have been trained in and used are holotropic, shamanic, pranayama, qigong, birth breath. All of those I've been trained in to learn and use. I take time to mix and match where I think it's most appropriate, because some things are more calming. Just talked about holotropic, that sounds really intense. But there's also pranayama, which is very calming and soothing, and maybe even have the benefit of changing your body temperature when it's cold or when you're hot. There's a lot of science behind that. Pranayama has naturally come to find even before the science was backed. So it's super sophisticated to change your breath pattern.
Does that even work with people that are having hot flashes?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking
Yeah.
about myself.
You're like, but we have these tools, how to cool your body down, how to regulate your body temperature, or how to increase it. So pretty amazing.
Wow, that's huge. That's incredible. For someone new to breath work, what technique would you recommend they start with, and why would you recommend they start with that one?
That's a great question. I think to get down to basics is to use your whole set of lungs, right? Your full lung capacity, which is to breathe through your diaphragm. I've always been taught to suck in my gut kind of thing, and this is not the time. It's not the time to do so. We breathe through our diaphragm, and not just in the front, but also let it expand to your sides. The diaphragm is this beautiful muscle that's right under your lungs, and it expands outward. You need to visualize that, of pushing the air down to your diaphragm to expand all the way around. and then into your lungs to the clavicles, so that you're using your full capacity of lungs. I think that would be the biggest thing to start with, is just filling your lungs like a water pitcher. And you fill it from the bottom to the top, and you just let it out through your nose, because that's going to be the most regulating and calming effect for an individual to get started on, just to simply associate and welcome yourself into your body, I think.
I love that. That's something I can do. Bringing this into, because this month we're looking at boundaries. One of the reasons I wanted you to do this with us was because I told you when I would go to set boundaries with people, I would just stop breathing. I would literally find myself stop breathing. What is a way that people could incorporate this when they're feeling those stressful moments in the moment, or even when you catch yourself, you stop breathing? What do you suggest or recommend?
When we have those experiences where we're not feeling honored or able to share our boundaries in the moment, I think the biggest thing to settle and focus in on is your heart space. When doing that, I would encourage to actually breathe into your chest and expand your clavicles. That way your shoulders are back and you can breathe into your chest, because we're about to warm up your throat space. That's how I see it, right? We're warming up the throat space to share our boundary. And so to breathe into your heart space and into your throat will be really opening. So if you were to breathe in through your nose, into your chest, and to let it out your nose a few times and really center yourself to share, I think would be really impactful, because we're about to share things that may be uncomfortable and we're really frustrated. When we are feeling that stress or that anxiety to share something, it usually happens in our upper chest anyways, right? We're feeling that like energy, that tightness, but we're like, gosh, why can't they just listen? And then it swells up into our throat and we just want to blurt it out. And so I think really focusing that energy into the clavicle space and into your throat will be really soothing and bring you back to center.
I love that, right, Gabe?
Amazing. I feel as you're describing it, I was imagining the past times when I've gone to set boundaries, how I just immediately get trapped in my head. The breath is almost like a way to put my spirit back into my body, to be present with it too. I feel so much calmer just doing the breath with you as you were describing it too.
Yeah, and it's not meant to be fast paced. It's something to be slow. Like, you deserve your time. This is the time for you to center. And so if your exhale is even just a little bit longer than your inhale, you're going to get more grounded, because our exhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system. And so when we exhale longer, it gives us more time to calm down. It's not necessarily taking a deep breath and a short exhale. It's take maybe even a shorter inhale and a longer exhale and get more centered.
That's awesome.
I love that.
It's all playful. And I think that's why I really enjoy breathwork, right? We all get to play with it.
It's amazing to remember how close this tool is at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
We have access. That's so empowering to realize we have this toolkit with us all the time.
Just learning how to use it in a more
Yeah.
effective way.
Yeah,
Which is why we gotta, Deanna, work with Deanna. How do you see breathwork complementing other wellness or mindfulness practices that people might have?
I don't see why it's not complementary for any kind of modality that you experience. And rounding back, your breath is so intuitive. It knows what you need. It's connected to your nervous system. It's connected to your brain. It's connected to your fascia and your blood flow. Why wouldn't you take time to use the breath to support whatever energy work you're doing at the time? So if it's talk therapy, if it is hypnotherapy, if it's sound baths, whatever it may look like, or Reiki. I incorporate both Reiki and breathwork together simultaneously, whether it's in my Reiki session or if it's in my breathwork session. They're both so complementary. It's just that it might be a different percentage of it depending on the session, but it's always beneficial, because we always need to take a breath and get back to center, always.
Being able to do it more effectively by working with you just seems like a no-brainer Tell me about what advice you would give to someone who does breath work, or maybe they've been on YouTube or something like that. How would you suggest a person deepen their breath work practice? Obviously, working with you could definitely do that. We're definitely going to put all the information so people can connect with you so that it'll be easy for them.
Well, if someone's already seeking breath work, there are so many Facebook groups that are supportive, that offer virtual, that are in person and advertised locally. I think there are a lot of spaces that are creating that wellness offering. I know that studios that do wellness focus on breathwork as well, because it is growing and because I think many are recognizing the need to take some time to breathe and to be in that community. If they are seeking it, I would say Facebook groups. I would encourage your local wellness clinics so that you could work with somebody more closely. Of course, I'd love to work with those who are truly in a space of seeking authenticity and to be more centered. That is more my goal, is to support just kind of coming more into their light in general. Some people really enjoy it for the sake of the athleticism, and so find maybe even a sports boxing group that does breath work if that feels more aligned. A lot of athletes do that as well. So it just kind of depends on what feels most comfortable for you at the time. But it's offered in many facets on YouTube, locally, virtually. There's no reason you can't find a breathwork opportunity.
That's great. Tell me about whether or not you work with people that might have respiratory issues or other health conditions. Is that something?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It's something I prioritize a lot. There are some breaths that are not safe for everyone to use. Certain breath patterns increase heart rate. And so if you have heart conditions, if you have epilepsy, those things matter. And your facilitator hopefully is explaining that what breath they're doing can potentially impact someone's health. That's part of my waiver when people are working with me, that we go through that together, that it's on my form. And then if we are meeting and we do end up booking a session, I do ask about health conditions so that I know what to look out for. As I've mentioned, I have respiratory issues, that I'm working with constantly to maintain and take care of. Those things are possible to work with. It'll just be dependent on what kind of breath work you do, because some of them are too intense depending on what's going on in your health. And it doesn't mean that it will always be that way. It just may mean that we need to build up to it, rather than jumping into a really intensive holotropic breath. It's not always going to be safe for everyone. But with that, and when I'm working with individuals or with a group, I care about reminding everyone that they're intuitive. Don't push yourself so hard. Yes, I'm here to facilitate and to potentially encourage you to push past something that you might be physically resistant to or emotionally resistant to. But you ultimately will know when it is not right. And there's ever those concerns that come up, to always be verbal about it. As facilitators, I hope that we are creating safety for everyone. That's my goal, ethically. And I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm here to help. And so it is important to share health concerns with your facilitator to make sure that you're safe.
And how does a person know coming into this new, if the person is trained, if they have expertise? Can you tell us what they should be looking for?
Yeah, just like a doctor or a therapist, it is okay to shop and to ask the questions, because it does have to do with your health. It does have to do with your physical being, your emotional being, and your spiritual being. It's your right to ask the questions of, how long have you been practicing? How did you get your certification? Do you have an amount of training hours that you have done, supervised? I think that's fully okay to ask and request that information before booking. I think it's smart to make sure, because it is growing. Breathwork is growing, and so is Reiki. All of these opportunities to be certified are accessible they are accessible in a grand way. And so I think it's fully appreciated as a facilitator myself to be asked those questions, to know that people are aware and care. And so if you are seeking to work with a facilitator, I think it's 100% okay to ask for those credentials and to kind of understand and interview your facilitator.
And what should people look for? Are there any that you can specifically recommend about your background or about what you're knowledgeable, specific certifications or?
I specifically worked with at Get Living Fit. They are local to me. They're a facilitator that has been doing breathwork for a very long time, over 10 years. And so they were very educated rock stars, honestly. There's no one academic breathwork space, right? Because these things are practices. They've come through culturally and through just the general practice. Pranayama has come through the yogic practice. And so if people are certified, it's okay to ask where that certification came from and see and actually do some research to make sure that that certification is from somewhere that is ethical, that it's from an individual or a group that is actually providing the proper education. So I think it's fully acceptable to ask for that information as well.
We're excited for you to give us a demonstration of this. I am telling everyone out there, I have never done it before other than speak with Deanna and Gabe.
I have a little bit of it. I've done one holotropic breathwork class. So that was interesting. I came across Stanislav Grof through some of his other work, trying to find answers during some experiences that I had, and I became really interested. But I didn't feel that the space I was in was too big of a group to maybe open what I needed to at that time.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm excited to try what you have to offer. I'm really excited to learn more.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I'm glad that you've also been able to try, because I myself, I love going to different facilitators all the time. I don't just pick one. There are ones that I feel safer with and I feel more aligned with. I've had facilitator experiences where I've gone as a participant and it has not aligned with working with certain groups or practitioners. I had somebody just keep whispering, "You are the magic," in my ear repeatedly. Honestly, get out of here.
Leave me alone.
Get out of my ear. I'm having my own experience. That's
Right.
the thing. You can do breath work and not have a facilitator that's particularly aligned with you, but also still have a good experience because you're putting the work in.
Right.
You're breathing. That's you. That's not the facilitator. So you can still have a really great experience and also know that they just weren't quite right for me. But I love it because I'm always learning one way or another of what I want to do personally. But
that's going to be our secret code back and forth.
You
to
are
each
the
other.
magic. I was
like,
I love that, but also get out of here.
Time and set and setting, right? In the right
Yeah,
set.
it really
right
is.
setting.
And that's the thing. I think that is what I value as a practitioner, is that I want to be intuitively driven. I'm not here to whisper things into your ear if it doesn't feel appropriate. I'm not going to whisper "you're the magic" in your ear. As I curate a playlist, I'll let that speak for itself. And I'm here to help you focus on your breath. Things like that, or touching. Some people are comfortable with touch, some people are not. Sometimes it really helps with an emotional release. Sometimes it's very distracting. And I'm that one person that has both experiences in the same breath work. And I just need to tell the facilitator, no, thank you, and go back to my breath. The consent and just being empowered to say what you need in those moments are super important. And I know that was a bit of a tangent.
Oh, that was awesome. That's
we
totally
loved it.
When I was there, it started having the hand clenching, and I felt my calf muscles and I felt vulnerable because it was my first time kind of going through all that stuff. So then having emotions come up and too much going on in the space, it was humbling to realize how much power I wield with mindful breath. And I'm definitely excited to learn more.
I love that. Then let's go ahead and practice the basics. So let's get down to fundamentals.
For those of you eager to dive deeper, we have an exclusive treat waiting for you on our Patreon.
By becoming part of the Golden Seams Patreon community, you'll gain access to the full interview with Deanna. But that's not all. we've got something truly special for our members.
As a bonus, Deanna has graciously offered to guide our Patreon members through a sample breathwork session. This is a unique opportunity to experience firsthand the techniques we've been discussing.
Imagine learning powerful breathwork practices directly from an expert, all from the comfort of your own home. It's an experience you won't want to miss.
Wow. That was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Thank you for doing that with me.
thank
No,
you for
I love that.
sharing that.
Now that I can get out of my soft meditative voice. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. I loved it. Gabe, right?
That was amazing. I feel like my brain slowed down to a complete stop during the meditation and coming back
Ooh.
into it. That was so powerful.
And I was so
Wow.
surprised about what came up. I was not anything that I was even thinking about.
Yes. It's like the peripheral things, everything else fell away. There was just like the
Yeah.
one or two things that I haven't been thinking about stuck around. That was so cool.
It took me right to a core thing of knowing that I needed more love in my life, which is not even at the top of my brain. You would think everything else. You can think of all these things happening in the world and deadlines and the chaos.
Yeah.
And instead, it took me to that space. I need to ask for this more in different ways. That's amazing.
Wow.
Completely unexpected.
No, it was amazing. And the calm made it seem like the way you walked us through it when the stuff showed up, it was like, yeah, I deserve this. It wasn't that timid rationale, the rationalization mind that skirts around it. That was so powerful, grounding. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Deanna. Wow. Really so wonderful. I can't thank you enough. Completely unexpected.
I love that. No, I do. That's what I love as a practitioner, is seeing what comes up for people. I really love being a witness.
Wow.
It's such a gift.
Well, as we close this up, and thank you for your time and for sharing your gifts and your talents and your expertise with us, we so appreciate it. We know that people will really value this and benefit from it. What is the best way for people to reach you, either to have a session, to work with you individually, long distance, in person? How do they contact you?
Oh, that's great. My link tree, which is Work With Deanna, and that has all of my forms to book, whether it's Reiki or breathwork. I usually share any upcoming events, virtual or in person, and it just has my emailer subscription. That's my main hub for any information and how to contact me. I would love to hear from any individual. I do offer virtual and I do offer in person. In person, I usually ask for a consultation ahead of time because I'm bringing people into my home and I want to make sure that everyone feels safe with that, including myself and my family. I'm happy to hold space as well as I can in that capacity. So virtual and in person is a possibility as we see what comes up. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to share with people and hold space for any individual that feels called to.
Wonderful. And it's WERK with Deanna, DEANNA, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
That was so amazing. Thank you, Deanna. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, that
Super
was like
grateful.
a whole dimension transfer for me. I didn't even realize how fast my mind was going until I did the breath work.
That's fantastic. Well, and you did that in 10 minutes?
Wow.
You were able to do that in about 10 minutes, I think.
Wow.
Roughly what 10 minutes of breath can do for you. Like I said, I would start it in the day and then end my day.
I love that so much. I did not realize. I feel like I had a reset.
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't that?
Wow.
So well deserved.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely. Appreciate having the time and the space to share. That's what I care about in growing and sharing with others.
Well, we are so thrilled to have you, to be able to experience this and just know how much we appreciate it. You know that the people listening and following will so much value what you've shared. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, wonderful. Well, take care.
Thanks. You too. We look forward to having you join us on the Golden Seams Patreon and unlock this exclusive content. Simply visit the link below. Your support helps us continue bringing you these inspiring stories and transformative experiences.
Thank you for tuning in to the Golden Seams. Until next time, remember that every breath is an opportunity for growth and transformation.